The stopwatch is literally on for Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. He has 2 more days before he faces a vote of no confidence in the Pakistan National Assembly. He clearly doesn't have the numbers at this time, having been left with the support of just 164 lawmakers. That's 8 less than the number he needs to pass the trust vote. Khan's key ally, the MQMP, has joined hands with a united opposition, and at least 13 of his own party members also appear to have ditched him. The opposition now claims to have 177 lawmakers on their side. That's 5 above the number required to defeat Imran Khan in the National Assembly. As a last-ditch effort to save face, Imran Khan has offered to dissolve the National Assembly of Pakistan if this joint alliance withdraws the no-confidence motion against him, and asked for safe passage. Sources, however, say that a majority of opposition leaders have rejected the offer so far because they are sitting pretty in a comfortable position and are in no mood to negotiate with an Imran Khan who is definitely, literally on the back foot.
वज़ीर-ए-आज़म इमरान खान को हटाने की साजिश एक बैनुल-अक़वामी हुकूमत की ख्वाहिश के ऊपर तरतीब दी गई और इसमें साबिक़ वज़ीर-ए-आज़म नवाज शरीफ, जिनकी मुलाकातें हिंदुस्तान के लोगों से ढकी छुपी नहीं हैं, इजराइल के डिप्लोमेट से ढकी छुपी नहीं है, ये हदायत जो हैं वो कहीं से आई, लेकिन नवाज शरीफ के अपार्टमेंट से ये साजिश जो है वो शुरू हुई और यहाँ पे आके वो ख़त्म हो रही है।
नेशनल सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की एमरजेंसी मीटिंग कॉल हो गई है, इसलिए उसके लिए मैं लाहौर का दौरा मंसूख कर रहा हूँ और इंशाअल्लाह मीर जाफरों और इन गद्दारों, इस जमहूरियत के गद्दारों और ब्लैकमेलरों के खिलाफ इमरान खान कल तो खिताब नहीं किया, लेकिन उम्मीद है कि आज खिताब करें।
सर क्या नजर आ रहा है? सर
नजर तो अभी 2 दिन बड़े हैं, मैं कल का और परसों का इंशाअल्लाह ताला इमरान खान लड़ेगा आखिरी बॉल और आखिरी ओवर तक।
वजीर आजम ने सेफ रास्ता मांग लिया है, आसान रास्ता मांग लिया अपोजिशन से। इन चोरों से मांगेगा वजीर आजम रास्ता? वजीर आजम ने इस्तीफा देने की पेशकश कर दी है। वजीर आजम इस्तीफा नहीं देगा। वजीर आजम बड़ी शान से इस लड़ाई के अंदर जाएगा, क्योंकि लड़ाई हमारी इन बोनों के साथ थोड़ी, इनकी क्या औकात है? इन बोनों, सियासी बोनों के साथ हमारी लड़ाई थोड़ी है। वजीर आजम की लड़ाई तो साम्राज्य के साथ है, जो पाकिस्तान के ऊपर अपनी हाकमियत चाहता है, जो पाकिस्तान के अंदर हुकूमतें बनाते और गिराते रहा है। वजीर आजम की लड़ाई उस साम्राज्य के खिलाफ है जिन्होंने, भुट्टो ने जब नारा लगाया था आजाद खारजा पॉलिसी की, तो फिर उसको भी फांसी दिलवा के हटा था वो साम्राज्य। वजीर आजम की लड़ाई जो है वो इन सियासी बोनों के साथ नहीं है।
इज्जत के साथ, एहतराम के साथ, इस इंस्टीट्यूशन, इस मुल्क, इस जमहूरियत का एहतराम के साथ आए। यहाँ ही नेशनल असेंबली हॉल है, आप अपना प्रोड्यूस करें नंबर्स, हम अपने लेकर आते हैं नंबर्स। अवाम को मज़ीद मुश्किलात ना दें, कौम में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल क्राइसिस पैदा की कोशिश ना करें, और ये इसमें आपका इज्जत होगा।
Remember, we're standing by to cut to Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's address to the nation. So that's going to happen at any moment. We'll go live to that in just a moment from now when it begins. But let me quickly lay out for you what Pakistan's National Assembly actually looks like, because this is what those numbers mean when it comes to that trust vote. It's a total of 342 seats in the Pakistan National Assembly. The majority required is 172. That's the majority mark. Imran's coalition currently controls about 164, but the united opposition, along with the MQMP, which has abandoned Imran Khan, numbers a tally of about 177, which is 5 more than the 172 mark, which is required to defeat Imran Khan in this trust vote. Joining me live now is Tariq Fateh. He's a very well-known Pakistani-Canadian columnist and journalist. Good to have you, Mr. Fateh. Good evening to you. You know, we're waiting on Imran Khan's, much-awaited address to the nation. One had thought it would happen yesterday. For some reason, it was postponed. While we're waiting for it, I'd love to know what you think. about what he's going to say. What could this speech be about, Mr. Fateh?
Well, what else but to play the victim card? You should be aware of that in the whole notion of how Pakistan was created, how it has lived, how it has murdered, how it has slaughtered its own people. The establishment always wants to appear as if it's the victim and that it is fighting back against, people who wish to destroy Pakistan. And in this attempt, now he's come up with that letter that he waves around in typical mode of once Zulfikar Ali Bhutto doing the same thing, and it might turn out just to be a photocopy paper, because lying about what you can offer, what you can say, what do you sincerely believe in, is the very basics of Pakistani politics. You cannot, do that, because Pakistan is structured in that way. We've just passed the anniversary of March 25th, when they slaughtered all the students of Dhaka University and came back in Islamabad and said that luckily we have saved Pakistan, only to lose an entire part of the majority of the country in the name of Bangladesh. The same generals, the same establishment, the same people who thought that if the skin was fair-colored, they were superior. In fact, I recall the call of General Tika Khan, who said, change the very race of the Bengali people. So they're paying, it is nature's way of hitting back at Pakistan.
Okay.
Right now, the Pakistan Armed Forces are bombing Balochistan. They are literally taking that land and giving it to China purely for their own personal benefits. Every general retires in an overseas country. The Swiss bank has just come, Credit Suisse has come up with a list of Pakistani establishment figures and military officers who have hundreds of millions of dollars have been transferred over there. This is the Wild West that we read about as kids in the Lone Ranger and Roy Rogers type.
I'll come to those, Mr. Fateh, with respect, I'll come to some of those bigger issues that you've just talked about in a moment, because, there was this aura of Naya Pakistan that Imran Khan had always talked about in his tenure. Speaking about what's happening immediately right now on the ground, obviously a lot of confabulations are happening. He's gone to court. He's offered to dissolve the assembly. There's apparently some kind of a back channel on between his team and, the so-called united opposition. Do you think he's going to be able to dodge a trust vote altogether? Because he's trying to avoid it altogether if he can.
No, he cannot. It's a clear numbers game. You see, it's not just that some foreign power is manipulating members of parliament. The man has been an utter failure. He's not just unfit for the job. Salman Rushdie called him the dim. He has nothing in that skull. This guy is just too enamored by himself as the handsome, swashbuckling guy who comes on a white horse and picks up one woman, divorces her, another woman divorces her, a third woman makes who hides behind curtains looking to talk to genies that supposedly make Pakistan's foreign policy. This is an incredible situation that a nuclear power in the world today has within itself a woman who nobody has seen, but who decides all policy decisions of the country. And she's respected as a saint.
You're talking of... absolutely. I hear what you're saying. You're talking about Bushra Bibi. We've got images of the family as well, because there is a huge amount of interest in what happens next. And you're right. I hear what you're saying. A nuclear power, a woman who nobody has seen. So much has been said about that part of Imran Khan's life. But before we come to that part of his life, I still want to ask you about that thing that you just mentioned. That that infamous letter, Mr. Fateh, which Imran Khan is kind of brandishing to suggest that there is this huge international conspiracy to topple him. What do you think about that? Is he taking like a routine diplomatic assessment and trying to, make a meal out of it?
I think that's what he's doing, because the letter is not a letter from any other government. It's a letter from the Pakistan embassy. His own embassy's internal document saying that what we gather is that the United States is not happy with your position on how you voted at the United Nations General Assembly, where, by the way, Pakistan voted with India and China and Bangladesh. It's never been that these four countries have voted on the same line on a certain issue. That means that Dhaka should be also getting a call. Hey, straighten yourself up. Or India should get a call. But no, it is him. His sense of self-importance is such that a spokesperson from the State's Department, what he says, the person in the Pakistan embassy listens to it and says, oh my God, the inferiority complex that rules Pakistan is such that the fact that an American person in the State Department has spoken about Pakistan, they think, "Arey sir, wo to America hamare bare mein baatein kar raha, sazish kar raha." Who gives a damn in a time when Russia is inside Ukraine and there's the fear of a third world war, that people will be worried about what Imran Khan says? This is much ado about nothing. The guy really thinks he's too important. And the delusion, well, most Pakistani prime ministers have always thought of themselves. Every Pakistani in any trade really thinks he's the, champion of them all. And that they invoke religion into it. If it's a cricketer, they start praying. If it's a general, they run away from the country. They go to Saudi Arabia to, what does he call it? The Alliance of Islamic Armies. That's General Sharif. Yeah. He's sitting over there making $1 million. These people have, it's a dangerous lot that doesn't know that history has placed them at a cross-section where you have a nuclear bomb, where you are the home of Osama bin Laden, where the 9/11 brainchild lived in that country, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, that most of the Pakistanis believe that the 9/11 was a Jewish conspiracy and 5,000 Jews didn't go there.
Since you're speaking about generals, Mr. Fatah, apologize for interrupting you, but since you're speaking about generals and terror, obviously as the Prime Minister a couple of days ago, he met with the ISI chief and the Pakistan Army chief as well. Not to oversimplify and look for a specific answer, but who does the Pakistan military establishment have its eyes on in a potential post-Imran scenario?
Anybody who would pay lip service to them and listen and be respectful. You would be surprised that when General Field Marshal Ayub Khan took over, under his wing was Mr. Bhutto, who for 10 years supported martial law in Pakistan. Every general, including the other one that you sent from Delhi, should have been selling pakoras over there. He came over here, Musharraf, and adopted an attitude of immense superiority. Suddenly the accents change. They throw in a bit of Punjabi and Pashto and they think they're tough fighters. It's bizarre. It's really, I have had the good fortune or bad fortune of being born there, being seen its dictators and being in prison for some time and then running away permanently, have never been back, that they do not think of humans as fellow humans. They slaughtered Bangladeshis, for crying out loud. Which country slaughters its own citizens in the numbers like 10 lakh aadmi maar diye? And 100,000 women were raped, with General Tika Khan saying, I want to change the race of Bengalis. They are too dark-skinned. You're dealing with people who are not serious. They're not from this century, sir. Americans, if they don't understand how Pakistan is a crooked country, it's because they think Pakistanis are like anybody else in the 21st century. No.
Okay.
These people people really think that they will one day destroy India and capture Delhi, and that will be Ghazwa-e-Hind.
Yeah, that pretty much has been every Pakistani leader's claim about what they really intend to do. Final question, Mr. Fatah.
Leader, sir.
Yeah.
It's from the butcher to the guy doing kalai, or to the the person selling shoes on the street. Every one of us is convinced that
final question then.
Should be wiped out.
Final question, Mr. Fatah. Who do you think, since we're 2 days away from that trust vote, given this, united opposition that's sort of sitting pretty with the numbers right now, who do you think is going to be the next Imran Khan?
Well, I think I have great feeling that Nawaz Sharif's daughter is a genuinely respected person in Pakistan, and perhaps we need a woman from the Punjab who doesn't think that being Punjabi is not an insult. Up till now, that has been the mainframe. The inferiority complex of the Pakistani Muslim Punjabi has drowned out this country because they try to speak a language which they cannot pronounce.
Tariq Fatah, it's always been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time and being with us. We're still standing by, waiting for Imran Khan's speech. I hope it's not postponed once again, so we will connect with you again. Thank you so much. Great to have you here on India Today. And I want to take you straight now to Islamabad, where Elia Zahra is live with us from the Pakistan capital. We have Kamar Naeem also live from Islamabad. Kamar, welcome. Thanks for being with us here. Well, we're waiting on that expected speech by Imran Khan. Kamar, is it happening? Has it been delayed? Can you update us on that?
It hasn't been delayed. We are still waiting for the confirmation of the time. As you know, the speech has been planned by the PTI as it has been conveyed through Twitter handle. But the timing is yet to be announced, and we are still waiting for the timing to be announced. It is yet to happen, but we are not sure if they are going to delay it like they did a few days back.
Yeah.
We hope so this time Imran Khan would speak to the nation. It's not going to delay.
Okay, hopefully.
It's not going to be postponed this time.
Okay, so you're waiting for clarity as well there in Islamabad. We're waiting on that speech as well. All of it will be carried live here. Kamar, stay with me. The man we're talking about right now is the man who led Pakistan to its maiden World Cup. I'm going to go ahead and say that Imran Khan is probably the world's most famous living Pakistani right now. He was the man who led his country to its so-called or supposed new avatar, or Naya Pakistan. At least that's what Pakistan's voters hoped when they made him the Prime Minister back in 2018. But in the last 3.5 years since Imran Khan became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, much has changed. Of the many hats that he has donned in his life so far, Imran Khan, the Prime Minister, has been the pinnacle, the highest point, and now perhaps the lowest.
On the day Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his troops to march into Ukraine, he had a visitor. The Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan came calling. For the first time in 23 years, a Prime Minister from Pakistan had paid a visit to the Kremlin.
What a time I've come, so much excitement.
The scheduled meeting was for 1 hour, but it stretched to 3. It was the beginning of Putin's Russia being cornered by the Western powers. And Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's visit turned out to be a show of solidarity. It served both parties, because back home in Pakistan, Imran Khan too was being cornered politically by a united opposition.
ये नए पाकिस्तान की शुरुआत है, जिस हमारे नए पाकिस्तान में बड़े-बड़े डाकू अब से असेंबलियों में नहीं जाएंगे, वजीर नहीं बनेंगे, वजीर आजम नहीं बनेगा, सदर नहीं बनेगा, बड़े-बड़े डाकू अब जेलों में जाएंगे.
The man who came to power promising a Naya Pakistan or a new Pakistan, halfway into his term as the 22nd Prime Minister, is facing removal. Pakistan's economy is in deep crisis. The pandemic has not helped. And the prosecution of opposition leaders added to Imran Khan's dwindling popularity.
पुलिस के थ्रू उन्होंने पार्लिमानी लॉजेस पे हमला करके शो ऑफ फोर्स किया, और जो धमकी खान साहब 27 फरवरी का दे रहे हैं कि अगर कोई मेंबर ने अपना वोट का हक इस्तेमाल करना है तो उनके कारकुन के बीच से जाना पड़ेगा, वो भी एक थ्रेट है यूज ऑफ फोर्स का।
The Prime Minister of Pakistan responded with his own jibes.
गवर्नमेंट बचाने के लिए ये जो थ्री स्टूजेस वाली ऑपोजिशन है, जिसमें चेरी ब्लॉसम भी एक है, पहले दिन से ब्लैकमेल करने की कोशिश है। जब मौका मिलता है हुकूमत को गिराने की सिर्फ एक वजह से कोशिश करते हैं कि जनाब हम कोई खास अल्लाह के मखलूक हैं, हम चोरी करें, डाका मारें, इनको कोई खास ऐसी मखलूक है कि इनको सब कुछ माफ हो जाना चाहिए।
Cornered at home, Imran Khan showed a brave face to the world. At the recent Organization of Islamic Cooperation meet held in Islamabad, Imran Khan urged leaders of the Islamic nations to mediate in the war in Ukraine.
May I suggest that the OIC, during its discussions, the foreign ministers, we should think about how we, represent 1.5 billion people, how we can mediate, how we can bring about a ceasefire, how we can try and put an end to the conflict. I'm going to meet His Excellency Wang Yi after this, and I want to discuss how maybe OIC along with China, how we can all step in and try to stop this conflict, which is going to have, if it keeps going the way it is, it will have great consequences for the rest of the world.
But however much Imran Khan puts up a brave face looking outwards, inwards at home, the rallies against him only keep growing. Because just like in a jungle, in politics too, the opponents have smelt blood. And the opposition parties of Pakistan are not going to let up till Imran Khan's fate gets decided on the floor of the House.
Now, the Pakistan Prime Minister is not alien to controversies. I mean, he's had one controversy after the other, also because he's been such a celebrity figure his entire life, from geography mix-ups to allegations of sexual harassment. Here's a report on Imran Khan, the king of controversies.
Imran Khan, the man in the spotlight, is surely having sleepless nights. His future as Prime Minister of Pakistan looks bleak, and no amount of damage control at this point could revive his prospects. This brings us to think, how well did Imran Khan fare as a world leader? Well, the number of controversies and slip-ups the cricketing demigod has been involved in while in power has made him the prime target of social media trolls. Let's start with Imran Khan's knowledge in geography. In 2018, during a speech at the Envoys Conference on Economic Diplomacy in Islamabad, Imran Khan referred to Arica, a port city in Chile, as an emerging country. At another official event in Tehran, Imran alluded that Japan and Germany share borders.
On the border region of Germany and Japan, they had joint industries. So now there's no question of them ever having bad relations because their economic interests are tied together.
Unfortunately, Imran Khan's struggle with basic physics was also out in the open when in 2018, in an attempt to praise China, Imran Khan said China has launched trains that run faster than light.
China में यही सफर 4 घंटे में, यानी कराची से लाहौर पहुंचना, चाइनीज की जो अब ट्रेन चल रही है वो 4 घंटे में पहुंचा देती है, और वो जो अगली ट्रेन बना रहे हैं वो शायद 2 घंटे में पहुंचा दें, क्योंकि वो स्पीड की लाइट से भी ज्यादा तेज अगली ट्रेन्स डेवलप हो रही हैं.
Imran Khan's math appears to be poor too. While speaking at an event and glorifying New Zealand's victory in the World Test Championships final, the former cricketer got India's population embarrassingly wrong. Respecting women and their choices is not something Imran Khan can boast of. In an interview with HBO, Imran said, "Women with little clothes instigate men." He then tried to backtrack, saying he would never say something like that.
if a woman is wearing very few clothes, it will have an impact on the men, unless they're robots. I mean, it's common sense.
Allegations of sexual harassment haunted Imran Khan in 2017. His party member, Aisha Gulelai, accused him of sending obscene text messages to women members of the party. While quitting the party, Aisha said the honor of women associated with Imran Khan's party was not safe. If anything, Imran Khan has managed to successfully maintain his Casanova image all through his oscillating career. In fact, his second wife, Reham Khan, in her autobiography has claimed that Imran confessed that he had fathered at least 5 illegitimate children, some of them Indian. Imran was a bachelor for the first 42 years of his life. In the years that followed, he married thrice. Ironically, for the playboy image attached to Imran, each of his wives turned out to be more conservative than the other. His first wife, Jemima, had her hair open. Second wife, Reham, partially covered her hair. And third wife, Bushra Bibi, covers herself fully, including the face. Now, public information confirms that Imran Khan has 2 children with first wife, Jemima Goldsmith. Unfortunately for him, he was heavily trolled for getting married to the British heiress, who was half his age. The Pakistan Prime Minister also faced international scrutiny in the 90s after British girlfriend Sita White claimed that Imran was the father of her daughter. Imran denied the claims, which led to a bitter legal battle until a Los Angeles court ruled that the 4-year-old girl was indeed Imran's biological daughter. He was finally forced to accept it. Some revelations made by Imran Khan's second wife, Reham, are cringeworthy. In her autobiography, Reham states Imran was obsessed with black magic and claims she caught him rubbing black lentils all over his naked body to ward off evil eye. Well, it looks like Imran Khan has surely mastered the art of blissful ignorance. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, before Imran Khan became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, he was, remember, a fierce opposition leader who rallied Pakistani youth and the downtrodden to vote for his novice political party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. From 1997 to 2018, it was the story of the transition of a world-class World Cup winning cricketer to a politician who was popular enough to be voted to the post of Prime Minister.
आप रिजाइन नहीं कर रहे और इसलिए मियां साहब हम यहां से नहीं जा रहे जब तक आप रिजाइन नहीं करेंगे.
Before he became the Prime Minister, Imran Khan was the vociferous leader of the opposition who fought for the people of Pakistan.
ये डाकू मुल्क को दोनों हाथों से लूट रहे हैं. हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है मुल्क चलाने के लिए. कर्जों में ये मुल्क डूब रहा है और जी वो बच्चे स्कूल में नहीं जाएंगे. 2.5 करोड़ बच्चा स्कूलों में नहीं जा रहा. वो बेचारे इस मुल्क के शहरी नहीं है. हमें शर्म नहीं आती. 35% बच्चों को मेलन्यूट्रिशन है. मेलन्यूट्रिशन का मतलब बीमारियां हैं कि खुराक नहीं मिल रही पूरी. और आज ही इस्लामाबाद में मुश्किल पड़ेगी जी. वो स्कूलों में जाएंगे. ये वो लोग हैं जो पैसा बना रहे हैं इस करप्ट निजाम से.
In 1997, Imran Khan had founded his political party Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or PTI, and stood for elections to the National Assembly of Pakistan. He contested from 2 constituencies, that of Mianwali and Lahore, and lost both of them. It would be 5 more years before Imran Khan could get himself elected to the National Assembly from Mianwali. It was also the lone seat for his party PTI. Imran Khan spent the next 5 years consolidating his role as a valid political option for the voters of Pakistan. The PTI boycotted the 2008 elections, alleging that it was being rigged. At the same time, Imran hit the streets in a campaign to mobilize the youth and public opinion against the established political leadership of the Bhutto Zardaris and the Sharifs. Imran offered hope to a young generation of voters who were seeking change. Sensing the mood, many leaders from the Sharif and Bhutto camps began to jump ship, adding to the groundswell building up behind Imran. Despite a high-voltage campaign, Imran Khan's stars were still to align, and 2013 was not going to be the year when he would dominate. His strong electoral rallies and an accidental fall, followed by a last-minute appeal to voters from the hospital bed, got his party 34 out of the 99 seats that the PTI contested. For the first time ever, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf emerged as the major opposition in the National Assembly of Pakistan. Charged by the unprecedented and swift success that he was enjoying, Imran Khan went on the offensive. He launched his Azadi campaign against the Nawaz Sharif government. Protesters led by Imran Khan and his ally, the Canadian Pakistani cleric Mohammad Tahir-ul-Qadri, camped outside Parliament for more than 2 weeks in August 2014. They were demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. The demand never changed, and Imran Khan never let up. He kept the momentum going, agitating against not only the PMLN Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, but also the Bhutto Zardari clan at the head of the PPP.
The problem we are facing is that political parties don't have democracy in them. They are family parties.
In 2018, success was finally his, as Imran Khan, the comparative political novice, defeated the two parties that had always been at the helm of Pakistani affairs. In the elections that year, Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf became the single largest party in the House. And though short of absolute majority, he did manage to cobble a coalition that formed the government. Imran Khan once again donned the cap of the captain. This time, not that of the Pakistan cricket team, but of Pakistan itself.
Imran Khan was also in one life famous as a playboy. The cricketer Imran Khan was popular for his brilliant strokes, outstanding bowling, and he's equally famous for a big string of trophy girlfriends. But all that changed as soon as he declared his marriage to Jemima Goldsmith. Since 1995, with the rise of Imran Khan, the politician, there was also a new character created, Imran Khan, the much married man. 3 times so far.
He's gone. Imran Khan, the great Pakistan all-rounder.
There was a time, long ago, when Imran used to be a very fine bowler, both on the pitch and off it as well. Even later in life, when Imran Khan, the cricketer, was becoming Imran, the politician, his off-the-pitch bowling record shifted from easy catches to being caught out well short of the boundary, and multiple times too. The first time that Imran was declared caught, it was 1995, and politics was possibly just a gleam in Imran's eyes. But the gleam that caught his eyes was that of a daughter of the British financier James Goldsmith. Once upon a time socialite, Jemima converted to Islam at the time of their marriage. Together, they had 2 sons and portrayed the picture of a happy family. Jemima was the cornerstone during Imran Khan's first foray into election campaigning in 1997. But 9 years of the Imran-Jemima marriage ended in divorce in 2004. They remained friends, and when Imran was arrested and politically persecuted in 2007, Jemima rallied behind her former husband from Britain. When Imran Khan was accused of money laundering, it was Jemima Khan who tweeted to prove his innocence and provided evidence in his favor during the legal battle. For about a decade after his first innings, Imran Khan sat out at the pavilion for bachelor politicians. And then he padded up to bat again.